everybody, welcome to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Elisa and I have a fun project for you today. I am going to be making polymer clay artist trading coins with a crackled, inked, and metallic veneer. Alright, so where do we start? Alright, I have of course my normal work tools, which is my rod and my blade. I have the polymer trading coins, which is a 2.5-inch cutter, and I have some pan pastels. I have some of the new pearls, the alcohol ink pearls from Ranger, and you really have to shake these up. Just remember this when you're working these, because the micas like to go on the bottom, so you have to shake them up, and there's a little roller ball in there that you'll know, and you'll see. You won't see it all, you know, coagulated on the bottom. If once you start shaking it, you'll see, and you'll know when it's ready to go. And so what I did here was I already put the Ranger, let me show you that, Crackle Paint. It's the Distress Crackle Paint Clear Rock Candy by Ranger, and this is the 4 fluid ounces. I believe there's a 2 fluid ounces, which actually we put in one of the Create Along boxes. If you don't know about the Create Along boxes, check those out at createalongbox.com. They're a lot of fun. But anyways, this is a crackle medium, and let me show you inside here. It's thick, not as thick as honey, but you know, it has a nice thickness to it. Now this is a new jar, okay, and I want to show you this because you may run into this. If you have an old jar, it tends to start drying up on its own. It just, the nature of the beast. The older it is, you know, it starts drying. So this, once it starts drying, becomes even thicker. I mean, a lot thicker. And the reason why I want to point this out is because I used the thick one on this white clay, and I used the brand new one on the gold clay. So you can see, you know, the difference. It's a rougher kind of look with the older crackle medium. You know, it looks a little rougher, and you'll see once we start to apply stuff to it. You get more of a defined crackle, not so rough with the newer stuff. So it's just a matter of preference. Obviously, if you want something that's older and you don't have an older one, you can leave it sit. Oh, you can leave it sit open a little. You know, I didn't tell you that, but it does dry out. So, anyways, let's move on. I have a piece of the antique gold, I believe it's called, from Primo. It is called antique gold. And what I do is I want these to be a little thicker than, you know, just like a, you know, a one pass through my pasta machine. So I fold it in half. Okay, and when I do that, I like to get out any air pockets. So let me just move this aside so you can see a little better here. And I'm just going to show you the basics of how I start. I get my cookie cutter, and it's best to work on a glass or tile surface, because then you can do this. Or you can use saran wrap. If you use saran wrap, it comes out really nice and you don't really have to clean the edges as much. But, you know, if you find that you have an air pocket, and like I do, a little air bubble there, those need to be removed, and you can usually just push them to the side and out. But if you can't, then you need to come back with either an X-Acto blade or some kind of poker, but I usually can get them out with just rolling my rod over it. So there you go, it's gone. And I didn't have to do much. So let me just give you an idea. We also need to have a clean paintbrush for this, and I'm going to use the new stuff. And I want to show you this just because I want to show you the thickness of the layer. You don't need a super globs like that. I wouldn't necessarily leave it like that, but you want to get a nice layer on there. You don't want it to be, you know, super thin, because you won't get as many crackles. But although if that's what you're going for, you can certainly by all means do that. And so you just simply cover your piece in the crackle medium and let it dry. And so that's why I already have some done for you here. And that's as simple as it is, you know. It's going to do the rest on its own. People make a big deal out of this crackle and all, and they're like, oh my gosh, how do you get that? How do you get it? Well, I paint it on and let it dry. It sounds so ridiculously simple, but I'm telling you it is. So anyways, it's that simple. And that's all I did for this one. right here. Okay, all I did was paint that on. So the alcohol inks, the pearlized alcohol inks that we're going to use are messy and they do stain, so you may want to have some gloves handy and use those. Or, you know, if it does get on your hands, you can definitely use, you know, isopropyl, I don't even know how to say that, alcohol. You know, the regular alcohol you get at the drugstore or whatever, and it'll come off your hands. It's not there forever. Don't worry. But you definitely want to have on your least favorite clothes or an apron or something because they do stain, you know. So I was thinking, let's go with like a grungy look here. I was looking at the color. It says tan on the side. And this one says tan on the side too. So that's not the color. So where is the actual color on this here? I was looking around and I didn't really see, you know, the actual... Oh, Envy. It's right in my face. One's called Envy and one's called Mineral. Okay, so they do all have names, just so you know. So that's what I'm using here. And I'm going to start with the Envy. And you want to just make sure all the mica pigments are mixed up on the bottom. And I just come back and started dropping in just in little sections. And I let the alcohol ink go where it wants to go. And just kind of do its own thing. And you can see it starts to make a shimmery kind of effect and spread itself. And you don't really have to do anything. Right? Add some green. And I kind of let it do that shimmery kind of thing itself, you know, for a little bit and see where it goes. And then I kind of like to manipulate it a little. I'm using a baby wipe here, so I don't necessarily want it to be super, super bright. This will take off a little of your ink. You know, it's really all a matter of preference, you know. Like on this one here, it was super bright because it was on white. And you see I'm going for more of a grungy look here because I did it on the antique gold. But you can continue to add colors. You can do whatever you want. And, you know, I was thinking, ooh, let me show you this. I've got these really cool hamsas that we're going to have coming out. We could add a hamsa on there. Actually, I have them smaller, which I have not cut out yet. But imagine a cool hamsa in the center with this. Really, really cool. So, you know, you just, like I said, play around with it. Have fun. Let's add a little blue here. There's no right and wrong to this. You know, it's really a matter of preference and what you like. And what you like is what's most important, you know. It's your art and you want to do what you like. So you can even pick it up and kind of move it into places you want it to if you know, you want. And I'm just going to give this a lighter tap here. All right, so then usually I let this dry and it dries pretty fast. And that's when I want to come back with my metallics. And so I've got a paintbrush here. And I kind of just want to dust it around and let it go where it may go. Sometimes I'll use my finger. And I like it to get into those little cracks. And it gives it a whole nother look once you get the metallics in there. I really like it. And you can go on top of colors, you know, and I like to kind of go around the edges. And really, that's all there is to it to get this really cool look. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So let's move on to do the white one real fast so that you can see that one. Now the white you can see a lot better than you can see obviously on the antique. And so let's use some brighter colors. We'll do okay, this one is called Intrigue. I like the names. Tranquil and Villainous. Well, you all know that I'm into purple, so I must be villainous. There we go. Look at how pretty. Gosh, I just love it. I love the way it spiders out. And you can get so many cool looks this way. I mean, it's just such a neat product, the pearlized too. I like the pearlized, but you don't have to use pearlized. And I can totally see these with resin over them once they're finished. You know, put a layer of resin on it so then it's like all dimensional. Be really cool. let me just add one more color. I noticed this was the dried out one, you know. This one little area here kind of didn't even crackle, which was kind of weird. And just let that do its thing for a minute. Maybe help it. You know, you can get it to blend into other colors. And you don't have to use a wet paper towel. You can use, I mean, not a wet, you could use like a rag as well and kind of blot. Or you can just let it dry as is. It's totally up to you. Totally up to you how you do it. But there it is. There's one. And here's the more antique-y one. And you could continue to put layers on and more if this was too bright. You can certainly come back and add a little more. You know? It's like it's totally up to you. You could even add paints. You could add micas, whatever it is you want to add to it. But the crackle and adding the color to it, the alcohol inks makes a nice little base for everything. It just shows up all the kind of spidery, you know, looks of the crackles. So let's just do one last step, and then I'll leave you guys to play on your own. Let me use my fingers on this one. Let's add the metallic here. And actually in the cracks it's easier, the bigger cracks is easier to use your brush, but on something like, you know, a bigger surface, you can come in with your finger. And really that's all there is to it. Just have fun with it. I'd love to see what you guys make. If you come on over to polymerclaytribe.com, that's our Facebook group. We would love to see what you make. So upload your pictures that you make and share them with us. So thanks so much for joining me, and get ready because we're going to be having a polymer clay coin swap, which is what these are. And this is going to get even more dimension to it. This is just my base of it. So think about how you can use this technique for bases of things, or even something, you know, 3D. It's just, there's lots of options with this because it really does make a cool veneer. So I will see you next time. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.